thank you for all the kind things that you've said, and it is very important to me. I mean, I regret the personalization as well. I think we live in the time that we live, and we don't control all the variables, and each of us has to do the best we can. Regent Reese, I also was hoping more of the students would say, because most of my remarks today about the budget are addressed to them, and I think we're videotaping it, and if the two Jessies will help me out, we'll figure out a way to reach more students. They may not agree with me, but I'd really like them to hear what I have to say. These recommendations are painful for the fee increases, and but I have to say, as a leader, it is important to me to be truthful and to be direct. And there's a lot of disinformation out there, so I want to lay out the facts, and without the disinformation, and what the stark choices are, and I have a number of things to say about that. And perhaps the first thing is, the worst is not even over today. We heard from the State Finance Department, who agreed with my observation that the state was an unreliable partner. This is from the finance director, that the state will have difficult billions of dollar deficit next year, that the federal stimulus money for higher education will go away, that we have difficulties in all the retirement plans, not just the University of California, and the list goes on and on. This is a terrible time. I mean, Californians are losing their jobs, their houses are being foreclosed upon. It's a horrible time, but what I'm saying is we're not going to come out of this easily. It's not a matter of months. It's probably a matter of years. And even when we do come out of it, the state government is sufficiently dysfunctional that we will still have trouble meeting our obligations in California, even as the economy recovers. So what has happened is we have a devastating reduction at the University of California, over $800 million, and another $300 million in expenses. Much of it going into those very union contracts, much of it going into our retiree health benefits. And on the list goes with regard to that. And we have to meet those obligations. So I felt that we needed to have a 2-year budget. We need some stability. It's sort of like kindergarten. I hate to say it, but we need some quiet time around here. We need to stabilize our situation. And then we can build the University of California back. It is not stable as we sit here today. It simply is not. Now, the students, I actually think the students ought to be angry about the fee increase proposals. I mean, I don't see why they shouldn't be. I mean, they're going up. They've gone up by tens and tens of percent over many years. And I'm angry about it too. I like the old system. The closer it was to being free, the happier I was. But that's not the world I live in, and that's not the world the Board of Regents lives in. And you could have 18 or 26 new board members. I always forget how many of you there are. And you can have a new...
Too many.
You can have a president and 10 new chancellors, but unless President Obama gives them a printing press, they're going to have to make much the same sort of decisions, maybe some nuanced differences. There simply aren't any choices. And one of the things I want to emphasize, and I say this with the able Lieutenant Governor sitting next to me, I think Governor Schwarzenegger understands higher education. I've talked to him. I think he gets it, and its role in employment, creating jobs, culture, democracy. I think Speaker Bass understands it. She's a very honorable, intelligent woman. She's on our side. I think that the President Pro Tem Steinberg fits in the same category. The Lieutenant Governor fits in the same category. It's the system that's broke. It's not the people who are broke. It's the system. And you have your own list of referenda, 2/3 requirements, whatever you think is on the list, but it is a dysfunctional state government, and therefore that is piling on top of the dire economic circumstances. And the point I wanted to make to the media, and I'm glad you stuck around, is, let me start here. I would characterize my wife and I as people of faith. She's considerably more of faith than I am. I'm sort of partial infidel in the family. But I do not believe the University of California can continue faith-based budgeting. and that is what we have been doing for a decade, is faith-based budgeting. That somehow, if we wait, the legislature will turn on the spigot. If we don't approve a 9% raise, maybe they will do this, maybe they will do that. Maybe next year will be better. Maybe if your favorite candidate is elected governor or speaker or something, where you get a change in the committee assignment, things will change. It is faith-based. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed for the last 25 years. We have half as much money to spend today as in 1990 in current dollars. That's the truth. You can talk about layoffs and furloughs, and you don't like salaries, and you will have some grand narrative of one sort or another, but the truth is we have half as much money per student. The cost is not going up rapidly in the sense that it costs more to educate a student. The copay is going up. The state has backed out, it's been an unreliable partner for 20 years, and the students are paying the price. I'm sorry they're paying the price, but at the end of the day, there are very few sources of money that can be used as I'll explain. In the 1980s, 17% of the state budget went to higher education, University of California, Cal State, community colleges, and 3% went to prisons. And today, we're down, according to Director Janest, about 7% goes to the universities, at least UC and Cal State, and about 9–10% goes to the prisons. You have more of a future in prisons than in universities these days. And when I look at our salary schedules, and I think Regent Blum said this, we look at all the salary categories, you know, we wish that our people in each category were paid like prison guards. We'd be much better off, we'd be much more competitive. And that is our situation. So the point is to the students, I'm sorry, I regret it, but the state has stopped building freeways to higher education, and it has started building toll roads. That's what you have. You have a toll road to higher education. I don't like it, but that's what they've done. And therefore, with all the splendid public good aspects of it, the medical care, the arts, the culture, the scientific breakthroughs, the demographers, the people who teach languages and the arts and poets and so forth, with all those public benefits, students are paying more and more as if it's just a personal good to them and not a public good that benefits all of us to have an educated population. Now, in the past, we have been through many struggles, the University of California. We got through the Great Depression. We got through the loyalty oath contagion and the Red Scare of the 1950s. We had the campus unrest of the 1960s. We've had recession. What I want to say is this is a very difficult time, but the University of California will get through this. I have no doubt in my mind, and at the end of the day, it will be stronger, and it will have more access, and its quality will be preserved, and its faculty will be preserved. We'll do what we need to do. What we cannot do is surrender to the greatest enemy of the University of California, which is mediocrity. The greatest enemy of the University of California is mediocrity. And mediocrity has a lot of allure to it. I mean, mediocrity is relatively easy to achieve, you know, and it's well represented in some bodies. And it would be easy to stand here and say, we are not going to raise your fees, even though we'll create an economic environment on the campuses that would force many of our best professors to leave, because that's what we're talking about. Some are leaving as we speak now. It's easy to shrug and say we cannot afford greatness anymore because it costs too much. And believe me, we have a lot of room to descend. There are all sorts of tiers and levels of universities in America. It would be easy, and I want to talk about this for a second, though imprudent and sometimes illegal, to take the coffers of the medical centers, their, quote, operating reserves, 2 months to operate the hospitals, to move around federal research dollars. Who cares? You get money for nanotechnology, anthropology department on campus looks good, let's just do it. And it would be easy to look at our physician practice plan and sweep their reserves and not worry about endangering the health and the safety net for Californians. You know, it just isn't so. I wish it were so. It just isn't so.